I knew it. I shouldn't have been invited tonight. You should have included me out. I don't bring fireworks. I bring a match. If you want banners and batches, I am the wrong man. If you want the one working secret, I am guilty of having only this. Meet each case at the point of contact. No spectacles, no mass sweeps, no spiritual accounting ledgers, just the quiet instant in which the personal self yields and the God self is recognized as the only life present. That is the honest beginning. Do you think the infinite does batch work? Do you believe love reads crowds as numbers instead of faces? Be still and know that I am God is not a stadium chant. It is a whisper that dissolves separation at the precise point where it is believed. What is that point? It is the place where reaction stops and recognition begins, where we do not pity, promote, or perform, but see God as the self of the situation. One soul at a time, right when it touches you at a bedside, on the phone, in a prison, or washing a cup there or nowhere. The kingdom of God is within you, said the Master, and when within is recognized, without falls in line, you will notice the Master's way. He never healed a batch. Virtue moved where recognition happened. One woman touching the hem, one hand lifted from the bed, one Zacchaeus in a tree. When 2 or 3 are gathered in that name, there is presence. Not when 2 or 3,000 sign up for a show. I promise you, sobriety, not sensation. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love for God and man, that is the only safe temperature for this work. We will laugh on the edges, but we will die daily at the center. We will refuse to be salesmen of wonders, and we will not rent a hall for God as if he required a microphone. We will take up a sacred ethic. Never solicit, never parade, never hurry, and never quit until harmony appears. My sheep hear my voice, not my advertisement. So tonight we will keep a thread and follow it carefully. First, the loaded question, why real healings don't arrive in batches. Then the framework, humanhood's tangle versus the God self's clarity. Then impersonal love, cold hands and burning heart. Then the method, the boundary, the true cases. Then the untethering from body and money. Then the dark corridor of dying to self. And finally, a working rule for today. But for now, hold the seed. Healing happens one soul at a time at the precise point of contact. If that is all you remember, the rest will come like morning. Now to the loaded question that sits like a salesman in the lobby. Why not line them up and fix them all at once? Why not book the hall, stack the chairs in rows of 1,000, and process wholeness like canned goods? If God is infinite, why not infinite in bulk? My friends, if I had a button for batches, do you think I'd be standing here? I'd be in a warehouse with a forklift, moving pallets of miracles. But spirit will not be run as a factory, because spirit is not a quantity. Spirit is the one, indivisible presence, knowing only itself in each appearing of itself. Do you think the God self of us doles out wholeness by the pound as if grace were sold on the wholesale floor? Do you imagine a divine discount code, redeem 20, by which a crowd gets 2 miracles free with every 10? Do you picture love scrolling a spreadsheet, grading on the curve, waving through the median case? Or a heavenly assembly line where an angel stamps healed on foreheads and sends them down the chute? If you do, ask yourself, who loves that picture, the God self or the humanhood, that wants power without presence, numbers without names, applause without altar? The lust for mass deliverance is the old craving for spectacle and control. We hunger to command outcomes, to say, look what we did Tuesday night, 500 testimonies. And what are they then, souls or statistics? Batching is a moral hazard. It reduces persons to categories: cancer here, debt there, grief in the back row, and it reduces God to a vending machine. Insert faith, pull lever, get result. When we do that, we forfeit the holy privacy of the point of contact, where reaction ceases and recognition dawns. We trade holy ground for box seats, and the price is our soul's subtle dimming, because you cannot keep the light of love while turning faces into files. Let's twist this question right side up with those red letters. Did the Master heal crowds as crowds? He fed multitudes, yes, but when virtue moved, it moved at recognition. Who touched me? And the one woman stood forth. He calleth his own sheep by name, not by batch. The very hairs of your head are all numbered, not averaged. He leaves the 99 for the one that is lost. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Not a group rate, but the kingdom whole, where you are. So why one by one? Because God is one, and only the one meets the one. If we want to see why we secretly prefer batches, we must look uncomfortably close at the personal self in us that loves credit, avoids intimacy, and wants to finish early. That self is the tangle. The next step is to expose it and let it die daily, so the God self may stand clear and do what it always does: recognize itself one soul at a time until harmony appears. Let us put the split on the table without lace or ribbon. Every discord, every anxious clutch for mass solutions begins with one simple mischief: a sense of selfhood apart from God. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Is the old question. And the answer, alas, is always the same. Humanhood whispered it, and we believed. The moment I am an I beside God, I am an accountant of lacks, a manager of outcomes, a climber of ladders. I become a curator of statistics, souls turned into scorecards, and then I dream that batches will save me. Do you think the vine grows fruit from a branch that believes itself a separate shrub? I am the vine, ye are the branches. Without me ye can do nothing. That is not poetry, that is plumbing. So the practice is not heroic. It is humiliating in the best sense. Die daily. I mean it prosaically. Die before breakfast, preferably before coffee. Die to the me that wants credit, applause, and the comfort of counting. Die to the nurse of grievances who says, after all I've done, and die to the impresario who wants a poster and a mailing list. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. If that is more than a motto on the wall, it means my personal hunger to glow in the dark must be put out with both hands, and the God self must be left to be itself without my commentary. Then what is healing? Not a repair of matter or a change of conditions first, but an identity correction. At the point of contact, humanhood yields, and the God self is recognized as the only selfhood present. Repeat it not as magic, but as calibration. No one and nothing outside the infinite can be sick, broken, or lost in truth. No one, nothing. In him we live and move and have our being, not nearby him, not applying for residency, but in him. When that in is felt, reaction ceases, recognition stands up, and harmony appears like a shy child that was in the room all along. We try to cut the tangle with dull shears, programs, batches, pity projects, and we fray the knot. Do you think the God self consents to be moved by our pity? If God is love, does love swoon, or does love see? Pity is heat without light, sensation without sight. Love is light with warmth, cool to the fingers, blazing at the core, insulated from contagion, free of fear. Learn its texture now, because to meet a case rightly, We must not collapse into tears. We must stand so still that tears, if they come, fall through us without distortion. Be still and know that I am God. Not be limp, be still. Stillness is clarity, and clarity is mercy. From that mercy, we will serve one by one, not as rescuers, but as witnesses to the only life present. Now let us be exact about love, because if we are fuzzy here, we will be fuzzy everywhere. The love that heals is not the soft fever of sympathy. It is the clear flame of recognition. Sympathy swoons and drowns in the story. Love stands steady and sees the Christ through the mist. Do you think the God self of us needs our tears to lubricate the hinges of heaven? Or do you think love, being God, sees only itself and therefore frees, "Judge not, that ye be not judged," is not a moral wag of the finger, it is a method. The moment I judge, I join the problem. The moment I behold, I stand where the answer already is. Outwardly cold-blooded and inwardly overheated with love for God and man, that is the paradox you must consent to inhabit. Cold hands, burning heart. A surgeon with a shaking hand is dangerous. A healer with a shaking heart is to feel as deeply as God feels, which is to say universally, impersonally, relentlessly, and keep the hand steady. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, the Master said. And the peace he gives is not the lullaby of emotional agreement. It is the atmosphere in which truth can be seen without blur. Insulation is not indifference, it is consecration. The monastic life we practice in the marketplace requires no walls but one, no emotional interchange that tangles us in a patient's narrative as if it were ours. Do you think love needs us to replay the diagnosis a dozen times to get the point, or to compete in grief? I know. Until both are under water, see that ye be not troubled, is not a counsel for the lucky. It is an instruction for servants whose clarity must remain intact if their compassion is to be useful. No condemnation, no superiority, no saving, only beholding. Hear the Lord with the woman taken in adultery, neither do I condemn thee, go and sin no more. There was no lecture, no batch plan for moral improvement, only the presence of non-condemnation that reveals the self untouched by accusation. That is our ethic. We do not fix sinners. We refuse to find them. We do not parade our purity. We lose our personal selves so thoroughly that nothing remains to compare. And we certainly do not save anybody as if God were short-handed in hiring. We witness, we recognize, we stand still enough that what is true has room to appear. Impersonal love is tireless because it has no private reservoir to empty. It pours from the infinite. Personal pity is soon exhausted because it draws from a thimble and calls it a sea. Which shall we use at midnight when the call comes? Which will leave us whole after the visit, pity that clings or love that frees? Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, is not an ethics exam. It is an optics exam. If we can behold the Christ where humanhood reports a criminal, a leper, a debtor, a rival, we will learn that love is light with warmth, not heat without sight. You will notice then that this love does not float. It meets a point. Where and when does it meet? Precisely when reaction drops and recognition takes its place at the intersection of stillness and presence. That is the point of contact. And if you will allow, we will define it carefully so that in the moment it touches you, one soul at a time, you will know how to stand. Now, about that point of contact, let's take off our shoes, because this is ground we don't walk on with hurry. The point of contact is not a technique, not a mantra collection, not a clever thought you learned last Tuesday. It is the instant inside you in which recognition replaces reaction. Reaction is the first wind that blows the stomach's knot. the mind's rush, the hand to the forehead. Recognition is the windless air behind it, where I and my Father are one, is not a sentence but a climate. Peace, be still, is spoken there, not as a spell, but as a fact discovered. How do we reach it? We don't reach it. We cease straining, and it reaches us. Silence is the doorway, one breathless pause in which the personal self stands aside like a polite usher, and the God self is acknowledged as the only presence on the stage. Do you think the God self of us needs a drum roll or a dozen affirmations shouted in sequence like a password? Take no thought, the Master said, and in that no thought, in that uncluttered hush, the point of contact appears. It is not empty. It is full of I. Before Abraham was, I am. Not I was, I am, present, indivisible, unafraid. Then the listening begins, not to symptoms, not to biographies, not to the anxious narrations we all can recite in our sleep, but to the one question that clears the room. Who is present here, really? Not the diagnosis, not the debtor, not the sinner, not the saint. Who? If the answer in you is anything less than God as the only I, wait. Stand in the doorway a shade longer. Be still and know that I am God. The stillness is the knowing is the stillness. When the answer settles, God is the self of this situation, reaction has nothing left to feed on. Right now, not later. Contact does not live on layaway. Now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Delay is humanhood bargaining. As soon as I calm down, after I read one more page, when the lab calls. No, here. This instant when fear knocks and finds no authority to address, that is the click of the latch. Practical enough? When fear loses its credentials in you, when it presents its badge, and you quietly see it as cardboard, you have touched the point. You may still feel tremors in the body, never mind. Authority has shifted. The throne is occupied, and it is not you. Do you speak then? Perhaps. Do you remain silent? Perhaps. Do you lay on a hand, send a letter, pick up a phone? That is choreography. This is substance. The doing will arrange itself out of the seeing. The sign you are standing rightly is simple. You are not bargaining, not pleading, not trying to push outcomes uphill. You are beholding. It is I. Be not afraid. If those words ring from nowhere and everywhere at once inside you, the contact is made. From that instant, harmony is not manufactured. It is revealed, one soul at a time, because only one is there to be seen. Now comes the unnerving, wonderfully liberating rule that no one asks for, because it spoils the show. We never solicit, we answer. We do not hunt for cases. We do not run healing drives. We do not take God on tour. Do you think the God self of us needs a brochure or a trumpet on the corner announcing 2-for-1 salvation this week only? Solicitation breeds vanity, and vanity loves batches. It longs to say, look what we gathered, as if souls were coupons. Freely ye have received, freely give. Not freely advertise, nor freely count, but give out of contact, not campaign, out of recognition, not recruitment. So how do calls arrive? My sheep hear my voice, not my announcement. When a sincere call comes, the answer is total yea and nothing but yea. Let your yea be yea and your nay, nay. If you say yes, it is your whole life that says it, day and night until harmony appears. No office hours on the Holy Ghost, no polite check back Thursday after lunch, no sacred voicemail. If the call is real, your availability is real, because it is not you performing charity, it is the one recognizing itself. If you cannot answer wholly, do not answer glibly. Better a clean no than a crumb of attention tossed across a crowded week. But if you answer, stand there, watch and pray. Stay until the disturbance confesses its unreality and peace stands up and breathes. And money, dear heaven, must we say it, money is a tool, not a tally of value. We do not sell sunsets or measure prayer by the pound. No fees for results, no sliding scales for miracles, no bargaining. If this clears by Friday, the moment money becomes meter, love becomes merchandise. If money comes, it is God handing you a few more marbles to roll where need appears. If it does not, the work is unaltered. Take no thought for your life, includes your invoice. We are not paid by outcomes. We are maintained by omnipresence. Use money, do not live in it. It is a fine belt, a poor backbone. Guard the quiet as if it were the last glass of water in a desert. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Confidentiality is the air the work breathes. No performances, no testimonies harvested like trophies, no success wall. See thou tell no man, the Master said that often enough to teach us the discipline. The moment we count wins, we lose the point of contact and gain a statistic. One soul at a time, one silence at a time, one recognition at a time. No parade, no press release. No, you won't believe what happened last night. Believe what happened inside. Reaction yielded, recognition appeared. What does this look like with shoe leather on? Not theory, not piety practice. It looks like the phone at midnight and your heart answering without complaint. It looks like a wire transfer you send quietly to keep a roof over a widow's head without a single sermon attached. It looks like visiting the hospital without becoming a mourner-in-chief and leaving with the same stillness you brought. It looks like meeting a man in stripes and seeing a son, not a file. We will not tell the stories tonight to stir your emotions. We will examine them to show you the ethic in motion, how distance dissolves when contact is made, how bars lose their authority when the Christ is beheld where the record shouts otherwise. But remember the rule before the proof distracts you. We do not gather cases. We answer calls, and we answer with our whole life until harmony appears. Midnight, and the telephone swallowed the silence. A son's voice from 3 states away, tight as a drum, asked if I could come. I could not come by road, and he could not breathe by waiting. There was no webcam, no conference of saints, no choreography, only yes, only the quiet, a far-off bedside, here, a chair, and the same moon. My mother is frightened. The monitors won't settle. I would not promise fireworks. I would not offer estimates. We answered, as we must, with stillness. I refused to plead with God, as if omnipresence needed persuasion, and I refused to argue with symptoms, as if a monitor were an oracle. Speak the word only, said the centurion, and I let that word be. Silence, not a stream of affirmations. He sent his word and healed them, and that word is not syllables. It is presence. Cold hands, burning heart. I insulated myself from the son's panic. I let the story pass through as wind through an open room. No bargaining, no imagined beam across miles. Only witness. God is the self of this situation, here and now. Be still and know that I am God. Then the small mercy arrived, not with trumpets, but like a knot that forgets how to cinch. Fear in me went slack, just slack without achievement, and in the same instant a gratitude with no cause rose like warm air. I could not trace it to improvement because I had no report. It was not a reaction, it was recognition. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The distance thinned. Both rooms shared a single hush. I did not speak into the receiver. I listened within until the listening turned to rest. Within the hour, the son's text buzzed. She's sleeping, breathing, easy. Doc says, whatever changed, keep it. There had been no speech from me to her, no persuasion, no spiritual pep talk slipped under the door. Virtue moved where recognition happened, not where advice was delivered. The far-off bedside had never been far. Only our belief in miles was long. What is the lesson? Consciousness has no geography. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? There are no state lines in omnipresence, no time zones in I am. We think we must ship help like packages, but in him we live and move and have our being. No courier can improve that. So we learn a working sobriety, answer the call, refuse spectacle, stand as witness until gratitude rises uncaused and fear forgets its script. One soul at a time, one hush that is everywhere, one God self-recognized, and the miles obediently disappear. The chaplain called, and we answered. No fanfare, no promises, no clipboard of reforms, just a yes and a drive to a building where the doors do not argue. They simply close. I was in prison, and ye came unto me, is not a line for a wall calendar. It is a direction of travel. We walked a long hall that smelled of metal and long hours, and I left my sympathy with the guard's keys at the desk, cold hands, burning heart. Insulation, not indifference. Pity would only fog the glass. Love must see through it. They brought a dozen men into a quiet room, each wearing his file like a shadow. The guard, kindly enough, wanted to brief me. Who did what? Who was safe to sit nearest? I smiled and asked him to keep his essay. The less I knew of the shadows, the more room the light would have. Do you think God needs the crime report to find his own? Does love lift a face by checking the rap sheet? Judge not, that ye be not judged. If I carried those labels into the room, I would only trade my freedom for theirs. I did not preach. I sat, I let the first wind, my urge to fix, blow past, and I waited for the stillness behind it. One man, jaw set like iron, folded his arms and said, "Preacher, don't try to save me. I'm not sorry." I liked him immediately. "Good," I said. "I'm not a savior. I'm a witness. Neither do I condemn thee." We were quiet then long enough for the performance to die. When the quiet finally had the floor, the recognition stood up. God is the self of this situation. Not a better human, not a chastened offender. The eye that never fell, never broke, never did, and never could. Due time. Something in the room shifted, no violins, no wet eyes yet, just a softening like a lock that discovers its key. Hardened men do not melt, they remember. A laugh broke where a curse might have, small and unforced. The iron-jawed one looked up without his fists. "You think God knows me here?" he asked, low enough to hide from the others. "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty," I answered. And then the red letters came by themselves. "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Bars stood where they had always stood, but in one face, a cell opened that steel could not touch. What followed were not sentiments but sober revisions. One man wrote, unsupervised, a letter that did not justify but confessed, and for the first time he did not demand an answer. Another, when a gang request came due, simply did not report, and the guard told me later he slept through the night without the usual fights in his head. No halos, no discounts on sentences, just men stepping out of self-condemnation into a room where "this day shalt thou be with me in paradise" means here, means now, means the God self recognized where the file insisted otherwise. The lesson? Freedom ignites when we meet the Christ rather than the criminal record. Hold no man in condemnation, not even the one you call you. Insulate yourself from the story so love can see the self. When the urge to fix dies and beholding takes its place, doors do what doors have always done in the presence of truth. They forget how to stay shut. Let's twist that Bible upside down and let the red letters fall into our lap, not as ornaments for quotation, but as instruments for contact. Have a red letter, New Testament, handy pocket, purse, glove box, and don't treat it as a museum piece. Read a line, then close the page and rephrase it until it walks around in your language. Live it, don't quote it. Do you think God is impressed when we recite without recognition? This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, Isaiah protested. The Master answered it by living the words, not waving them. When a call comes, I do not reach for chapter and verse flashcards. I reach for the one the words are pointing to, and if I speak scripture at all, I must speak it in the dialect of now. So the heart hears, not the scoreboard of memory. Notice the Master's pattern. Crowds pressed, contact healed. Who touched me? He asked. And a woman, one woman, stood up into the truth that had already recognized her. He calleth his own sheep by name, not by category. A ruler's daughter, a blind man by the road, a leper with his own story, a crooked-backed woman whom he called daughter of Abraham, each one met the one. Even when he fed multitudes, the virtue that moved was not mass-managed. It was presence, breaking bread into enoughness, and still it came through hands, one piece at a time. If you want a theology of healing, the red letters will not give you a factory, they will give you a face. Virtue flows at contact, never by crowd control. And about retaliation, let's turn the ledger into confetti. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye. But I say unto you, that ye resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. That is not passivity. That is disarmament at the level of the self that wants to pay back. Forgive 70 times 7 is not arithmetic. It is the burial of the calculator. Do you think love keeps score? The Mosaic payback comforted our sense of fairness. The Christ love dissolves the very calculus of deserving. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, is the final red letter audit. The account is closed, the debt imagined. If you want the God self to stand clear, retire the sheriff in you. Read, rephrase, realize. Judge not means I resign from the bench. Love your enemies means I refuse a private hate. Who touched me means I attend the one before me. Then scripture stops being quotation and becomes contact to hush, where virtue moves. One soul at a time today, body first. Because if we live inside it, we cannot be free to meet a case. It is a fine automobile, polished, inspected, fueled, and it is not your address. Jump in, do the day's route, jump out. If you camp in the garage, the fumes will dream for you. It's a tomb if you're living in it. It's a body if you're outside using it as an instrument. Do you think the God self requires a perfect paint job? The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment. Maintain it. Don't worship it. Listen to it. Don't obey it. Money next, because if you live in it, you will be evicted from joy. God, in his mischief, gives us dollar bills to play with marbles on the floor of providence. Use them lightly, simply. They do not confer holiness or ratify authority or improve God. Render unto Caesar the ink and paper, and unto God your recognition. Do you think love reviews your bank statement before virtue moves? Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Keep your treasure in presence. Let money be the small change that helps the errand happen. Batch sensationalism fattens both the body identity and the money ego. The lights, The stage, the roar, oh, how the personal self swells. How many bodies we filled, how many envelopes we stacked. Do you think the God self will thread a needle through a billboard? The more you live as a performer in a body and a proprietor of funds, the less room there is for the point of contact. Insulation cracks under applause. The hand shakes at results. So we practice a holy lightness with form. When pain knocks, we do not hate the body or flatter it. We step outside and use it gently, gratefully, as an instrument through which recognition may speak. Take no thought for your life. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Thought cannot. Presence already is. When bills arrive, we do not dramatize the envelope. We move marbles where needed and refuse arithmetic as Lord. The lily does not file a budget, yet it is arrayed. Practical rule. Don't live in your skin or in your purse. Live in God and use both. Jump into the body to drive to the bedside, to kneel, to write, to lift. Jump out the instant you would identify as it. Send money to clear a path, to put bread in a pantry, to keep lights on for study. Jump out the instant you would count it as merit. Then the field is utterly clear. Reaction has nothing at all to grip. Recognition crosses the room to behold the only self. I should confess something before you imagine I sprang full grown from the forehead of wisdom. The first little results I saw, oh, how quickly the personal self polished its badge. I nearly believed God had been waiting since Genesis for me to open an office. Do you think the God self of us requires a receptionist? I stacked testimonies like trophies, rehearsed them so well I could have whispered them in my sleep, and somewhere in there I nearly congratulated myself for helping God be God. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass, said Paul, and I, in those early days, was a very polished cymbal, nicely shined, impressively loud, empty. The start of the spiritual life is often a state of self-deception. We feel borrowed light and stamp our name on it. We confuse the bulb with the electricity. We give out of a full heart and sly, as a fox investments. We take back a little glory for ourselves. Do you think love misses that? It lets us play for a time. He is a patient father, and then if we have asked for reality, the theater closes, the audience goes home. Results dry up like rain puddles in a noon sun. Prayers feel like dry leaves. Affirmations are postcards from a place we cannot quite enter. The familiar tricks stop working. Welcome to the dark corridor. I die daily, Paul again. And this is where the line moves from embroidery to anatomy. When thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet, the master says, and in the corridor the trumpet rusts. He must increase, but I must decrease. And the decrease is not decorative, it is extinction of the performer. In that black night, the batchmaker dies. The impresario who loves the crowd, the counters, the applause, the handbills, he cannot find the door handle. The corridor trims him to nothing. Vanity burns. Agenda smokes. Even the wish to be known as humble curls up like old paint. This is not punishment. It is purification. The self that was using God as a stagehand discovers God, does not take that job. Somewhere near the far end of the dark, a quiet happens that is not relief but reality. There is no triumph, no I did it. There is I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, and it is not metaphor. Poor in spirit at last, blessed. The master calls it. You step out of the night without fanfare, and something in you is steady that could not shake before. Outwardly cool, inwardly overheated with love, cold hands, burning heart, no trumpet, no batch, just the point of contact again and again, as long as breath is called breath. Then the work is simple. We do not mount the podium, we keep to the closet. We do not solicit. We answer. We do not hurry. We abide. When a case appears, we let reaction die and recognition take its seat. We remain until harmony shows its face. The credit ledger is closed. If anyone asks who healed, we can only say, "It is I." Be not afraid, and we cannot tell whether the voice was ours or the wind. That is the proof you have come through the corridor. Only a self that has died to itself can meet a case without agenda or vanity. So, what do we do on Tuesday morning when there is no corridor smoke and the phone is silent? We write a rule on the inside of the heart, and we write it in letters that do not smudge. I knew it. I shouldn't have been invited. You should have included me out. But if I was smuggled in, let me at least leave a working plan you can carry in a pocket without creasing it. Rule 1. Pause and enter silence. Let recognition replace reaction now. Not after coffee, not when the report comes back, not when you feel qualified. Be still and know that I am God. Now is the accepted time. The first wind is panic. Let it pass. The air behind it is God. Say nothing if you must. Say, "It is I." Be not afraid if it rises of itself. The sign you are obeying the rule, bargaining stops and beholding begins. Rule 2. Answer sincere calls. Stay until harmony is plain. Keep no score. Let your yea be yea. If your yes is real, it stays through the night watch. Watch and pray. Do not log progress. Do not count fish. Enter your closet. No testimonies harvested, no trophies arranged. When harmony appears, step quietly away and leave the room as clean as you found it. See thou tell no man, except the one who already knows. Rule 3. Practice impersonal love. No pity, no condemnation, only beholding. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with God. Pity fogs, love sees. Neither do I condemn thee. Judge not. Insulate from stories so the Christ may be recognized without your fingerprints on the glass. Let the record stop shouting and the sun speak. Rule 4. Saturate in the red letters. Rephrase them. Carry them. Live them. Have them near. Read one line and make it walk in your tongue until it walks in your feet. My words. They are spirit and they are life. Who touched me becomes who stands before me now. Forgive 70 times 7 becomes retire the calculator. Scripture is not a charm. It is contact. Rule 5. Keep joy bubbling. Service without inner champagne is dreary and suspect. Rejoice evermore. Out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. If the river in you is dry, be still until it springs. Do not export drought. Accumulate consciousness, not cases. Journal realizations, not headlines. Write what God revealed, not who called and what cleared. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, awareness, not applause. Then your heart will be where your treasure is, and your hands will be free. Perhaps we were not invited for a grand event at all, only to meet our own case here at Contact. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear, open now. Make your life a continuous readiness, one soul at a time, one instant of recognition at a time, right when it touches you.